Ramon Film Productions presents the best of the best movies. Uganda.
Who Killed Captain Alex it's the best thing ever. I mean, it's a terrible movie on just about every level, but is easily my favourite out of all the films I've talked about in this series. It's a movie that is quite difficult to discuss because it's simply unlike anything I bet you've ever seen. On the surface, it might seem like any other B or Z level movie, but with a little bit of time and context, you quickly begin to learn that Who Killed Captain Alex is actually one of the most genuine and charming odes to cinema that you may ever have the pleasure of witnessing. There are films out there that had relatively small budgets in the insane monopoly money world that is Hollywood. There are films that had small budgets within their genre. There are films that had micro budgets. There are films that had no budget. And then there are films that had no budget but are also produced in third world impoverished countries. And that's where the story of Who Killed Captain Alex begins, with a man named Nabwana Isaac Godfrey Jeffrey, who had a wild passion for movies, a Sony PD-170 camera, which was acquired by selling everything Nabwana owned at the time, as well as selling bricks which he was also making to be able to afford it, and a large group of passionate actors who wanted nothing more than to make the most kick-ass, kung-fu, super fighter action movie you've ever seen. Filmed in a slum in Uganda's capital of Kampala, which is a country situated in the east of Africa. Who Killed Captain Alex is an action movie that has been theorized to have a whopping budget of around $200. I've known about this film for over 7 years at this point. The trailer was quite a big deal at the time for being just the most insane thing you've ever seen.
Ramon Film Productions presents the best of the best movies. Uganda.
The king of making funny things unfunny even covered it. So back in 2010, that must have meant it was kind of a big deal. I've wanted to talk about this film for years at this point, but I've never been able to find myself a clean copy that doesn't have a commentary track or a video joker. I'll explain what a video joker is later on. I even contacted what I think is their official Twitter in January of 2016, asking if I could get a copy so I could review it. They never ended up replying. Well, actually they sort of did. Back in the day, there was this guy who was desperate for me to review The Amazing Bulk, so they replied saying that I should review The Bulk first, to which Wakaliwood, which is the name of the studio that made this movie, replied with this picture and a tweet that read, "Yeah, you listen, Bulk. He looks smart." I have absolutely no idea what this meant, and I never heard from them again. So eventually I decided to order my own copy on DVD. I didn't really anticipate being gifted with an entire care package of goodies when it arrived. Alongside the signed and stickered blank caseless DVD rewritable was a signed poster, a strangely shaped piece of cardboard with Wakaliwood stamps all over it, a couple of photographs, which I think are advertisements for movies that are coming out, one of which has someone brandishing a Nerf gun with text that reads Ebola Hunter, and also stay in school. The other is a confusing picture of a child and woman with text that says, hope to meet you, Cannibal Mama. And finally there was a little note that reads, note there is no menu on this DVD. Most of our customers in Uganda have either lost or broken their remote controls, so it helps if the movie just starts. So immediately, as you can see, we're off to a unique start. So before we finally go into the movie itself, there is one more of these unique features I kind of need to explain to you. So I mentioned that this film has what's called a video joker, and you won't know what this is. I can guarantee that, because as far as I can tell, this is a feature that is quite exclusive to films in Uganda only. So a video joker is kind of a commentator who talks over the entire movie.
Yes, okay. This is VJME, live in the studios from Wakaliwood, Uganda. Get ready! Ramon Film Productions.
Making quips and jokes, or what they think are quips and jokes.
Over here, I want dancing girls. Beautiful girls.
Kind of like what a Let's Player does, or what I do in the Trying to Watch episodes. They kind of explain the impossible to follow plot in a comedic way.
But first, he needs to eat.
And scream a lot.
Proudly made from Uganda, Dinosaurs.
And also say words that don't really make any sense when you think about it for more than a second.
Hello! Dinosaurs.
At first I wasn't really much of a fan of the VJ. That's what they call video jokers for short. But I have to admit, it did grow on me as the film went on, and I did actually appreciate him being there in the end.
I'm making German food. German food? Yeah, we found German tourists. We're cooking them. Oh, very good. Delicious. Serve me the head. Like Predator.
I would quite like a version of this film that doesn't have a VJ.
VJ Emmy on the microphone!
But after looking absolutely everywhere, there doesn't seem to be one available. This film doesn't have much of a structure and doesn't really follow any form of logic. From what I can figure out, it's mostly just filler that acts as padding until the super action can commence. It's not the easiest thing to describe, but I'll do my best to attempt to. I think I've seen this film 4 or 5 times at this point. The movie starts with a foreword explaining that this is, in fact, a lost film, and that the only thing that survives is a low-resolute DVD master. This is because the director had to delete it off his hard drive so he had enough space to make his next film. He's made over 30 movies over the course of his career, so at this point he's just accustomed to deleting films so he can make space for new ones. The director never imagined anyone outside his own village would ever see this film, which makes the popularity of it even more interesting to me. It must be so bizarre and surreal for him to suddenly have hundreds of thousands of eyes staring right at his modest little passion project. Wakaliwood, Uganda, home of the best movies. You'll notice throughout this movie that they're a fan of spelling certain words in an interesting way. In the Wakaliwood world, words such as the or super aren't just the or super. No. They become da and super. They seem to type as if they're straight out of the late noughties. Even the piece of paper that was included with my epic Wakaliwood t-shirt was typed like, "Thank you so much purchasing our t-shirt and for supporting Wakaliwood. We make the shirts ourselves and maybe you will see the image is crooked or some paint drip on sleeve. We are not perfect, but try very hard. Please enjoy knowing we made this shirt for you." I think the last part of that sentence kind of sums up why I like this film so much. They're not perfect, of course they're not. It's hard to even critique this movie because it's so individual in its production. But my god, can you tell that they tried really hard to entertain. And it works. Even from the amateur way the text introduces the movie, with all the basic Premiere transitions and fonts, it's all incredibly charming to me.
Who killed the Captain Alex? The Ugandan first action-packed movie.
So Captain Alex is Uganda's best soldier. He's a hero. He is the master of action. And he's hell-bent on arresting the Tiger Mafia, the villains of the movie. The president of Uganda himself hired Captain Alex to take the Tiger Mafia down. A large group of soldiers make camp in a sewage. You can tell from their gear that, my god, do they mean business. The wooden and plastic rifles, alongside the bright yellow and green goggles, sure do give off an intimidating aura. There's a lot of very basic dialogue that would seem incredibly forced and awkward if not for the fact that A, they speak Luganda, so you have no idea if their delivery is good or not. I mean, I'm willing to bet it's not. I mean, sometimes you can even tell that the delivery is terrible despite the language barrier. And B, the video joker just kind of talks over everything they say, kind of acknowledging that none of it really matters at all. The soldiers have a little break in a bar, where the waiters specialize in serving empty bottles of air, I guess, and blue milk. Why is this liquid blue? Well, the reasoning is actually... Jesus Christ, well, I'm sorry about that. You know what those Ugandans are like? They just love action. But the reasoning for the blue liquid is because it's actually watery paint that was left over from the walls, which you can see are a similar color. It's just blue paint. Remember, clean water is a commodity in Uganda. So after a huge, clearly not rehearsed bar fight, Captain Alex comes in and teaches them all a lesson. Then a guy violently throws a bottle for some reason. I guess now it just awkwardly cuts to the first real action sequence of the movie, where the soldiers infiltrate a Tiger Mafia base. I guess they just found out about now. There's a whole lot of dolphin diving and sneaking and jumping around. Some of it does seem a tad unnecessary, but I do appreciate the enthusiasm. The soldiers ambush the Tiger Mafia, who are doing some kind of trade of some unknown substance. It doesn't really matter. How the soldiers knew about this, who any character is, and what the hell is going on is never explained. And come on, let's be real. None of it really matters because...
Tiger Mafia. Super kicker. What's happening? Around.
Yeah. That's why. The action is so ridiculous that it manages to carry the entire movie, and surprisingly, isn't even shot that badly. You know, at least they actually kind of let you see what's happening, unlike the cut every second mentality Hollywood seems to have for action. Look, I know I said the acting seemed pretty terrible, but the look on this guy's face is of such genuine terror that I don't think even Daniel Day-Lewis could be more convincing.
Jesus!
Once the Tiger Mafia complete their deal, Spider-Man thinks it would be a good time to get out of there. What the fuck is going on? The video joker likes to constantly remind you that you are indeed watching a movie, and also continues to remind you the title of the movie you're watching, just in case you've forgotten.
You are watching Who Killed Captain Alex, and the first VJ in English ever. Commando.
This guy's standing up there as if he's stealthy. It is wonderful. I mean, he looks like he's ready to pounce, but God, does that look uncomfortable. The tension in the scene is building and building as the soldiers surround the Mafia until finally...
What the heck?
Yes! Action! Blood! Action!
This is serious!
Guys, this is serious!
Everybody in Uganda knows Kung Fu!
What is going on?
The movie's on!
Yes, the movie is on!
The movie's on!
Yep, I heard you. The movie is on. Yeah. Yep. Yes, the movie is on.
The tiger is in the cage!
I do kind of feel like an asshole for correcting you on this, but the tiger being in the cage would be a good thing. What you meant was the tiger is out of the cage.
Hello!
He's not even trying anymore, he's just saying random words. The VJ gets so excited at points that he doesn't quite know what to do with himself. So he just says things like, Super Fighter.
Super Fighter!
Or, action-packed movie.
Action-packed movie!
If you look carefully throughout this scene, you'll notice the same people dying over and over again, or even killing themselves sometimes. This is because you obviously need bodies if you're going to have a large body count, and due to how restricted they were in terms of cast members, it meant the same actors were used over and over again. This is the reason Spider-Man and other masked characters were in the movie. There isn't really any choreography, and you can clearly tell this was all kind of assembled in the editing room to have even the smallest semblance of coherency.
How do you rehearse? I mean, do you like write a script and give them the script, or is it improvisation?
Sometimes we rehearse some of these and we write a script. Sometimes, because I told you everyone is creative, sometimes we reach the location and the location gives us what to do.
But it's so frantic and ridiculous and wild that you hardly even think about it making sense because you're too busy laughing with how much fun they're clearly having.
Move it!
We're introduced to the leader of the Tiger Mafia, Richard. The most intimidating name of all time award goes to... Richard moves aside his Minnie Mouse plushie to watch some television. And to his utter dismay, he learns Captain Alex and his commandos have captured his brother. This makes him very upset. For some reason, there's this minor subplot with this guy in the red vest. He's supposed to be a gun for hire from Russia. I don't know why that's important, but they make sure to tell you. Richard calls for a meeting at the Tiger Mafia base and ends up shooting his wife.
Who's the bitch? You.
Mostly because he has so many wives that they're expendable to him. Richard explains to his men that his brother is so sweet and that he has a beautiful voice. It turns out Richard's brother has been moved into police custody. They find this out through this woman who is an undercover spy for the Tiger Mafia.
Alex.
I think it's time for Richard to get his revenge. Okay, let me just freeze frame this for a second. I don't really have any point to make about it. It's just fucking funny. Okay, watch.
Richard, sisobola kutta n'obuzibu nnyina ndi olumu balumba nga sitegedde totegedde kati genda gundi tolezako kuntiisatiisa ate manya kino kikulu erinze njagala muganda wange
Bastard!
You go out!
Not only is the juicy grasshopper line amazing, but to top it off with the classic diarrhea squirt. With the fucking diarrhea squirt. It's just too much for me to handle. The scene ends with Richard just kind of stealing a box of guns that were lying on the desk and walking out with them. This is in the police station. Captain Alex is seduced by the Tiger Mafia spy. Then it shows the other Tiger Mafia soldiers sneaking around. And then it awkwardly cuts back to the spy who just kind of says that Captain Alex is dead now and no one knows who did it. The director doesn't even know who did it.
This is who killed Captain Alex. I mean, I did not kill Captain Alex. Someone killed him, maybe. I don't know.
Who killed him, Isaac?
I don't know. I don't know myself. I don't know.
Captain!
The next morning, Captain Alex's commandos are extremely upset about what happened to Captain Alex.
Hey, Sergeant. Neurozania Captain Alex.
Oh, hey, look, it's this guy again. Yeah, maybe he's not actually a good actor at all. Maybe he's just one of those dudes who always looks like he's about to cry.
Now a super kung fu master's here. Not him. Him.
Normally this is the part where I would question where, how, or why a super kung fu master is here. Well, you see, the answer's simple. Captain Alex's brother is a super kung fu master, and he wants to know more details about his brother's murder, so he can get revenge. We head back to Richard, who is very upset about Alex's death because he wanted to kill him himself. Now, pay close attention to this scene. See if you notice something, if I let it play for a little bit.
Mercenary! Gimme. Hey! Tugenda maaso. Now expect the unexpectable.
If you're a fan of Batman Forever, you might recognize the song in the background just then. If not, they just used a Panpipes cover of Kiss from a Rose by Seal. A Panpipes cover of Kiss from a Rose by Seal. Panpipes, Kiss from a Rose. Panpipes. It's so fucking random. There has to be some method to this madness, surely. It's nice to see the Tiger Mafia went all out with their business cards. So it turns out 2 of the soldiers have been captured by the Tiger Mafia. One of them being the nearly cry guy. Richard gets so frustrated he straight up breaks the 4th wall and asks us,
Then who killed Captain Alex? Who?
Again, I've just got to let this scene play out because it's just fucking amazing.
Action-packed movie!
You'll notice that these guys are actually quite athletic and pretty decent at some of these kung fu moves. And this is because a bunch of these guys actually self-taught themselves kung fu. They're actually good enough at kung fu that they compete in local kung fu championships in their area. Alex's brother leaves in a huff after consulting the kung fu master because he refuses to help him to get revenge, so he has to go at it alone. A lot of these sequences just kind of have to be shown to be believed. Like, let's just say if I said to you that randomly it cuts to Alex's brother lying in a makeshift string hammock thing in a tree that's supposed to be a hotel in Kampala, the capital of Uganda. Like, would you believe me? Well, of course you would, because that's ridiculously specific, but just look.
Hotel Kampala. Ugandan Bruce Lee. We call him Bruce Lee.
What? While Alex's brother is cooking some fish, he stumbles across the wife of Richard, who was shot earlier. She now has memory loss because of her wound. For some reason, like being shot in the shoulder, made her lose her memory. It doesn't really matter.
On is the movie.
Yep, I did press play. The movie is on. What do you want from me?
What the fuck?
This guy should be making YouTube videos. He's got the timing down hat. Oh, for Christ's sake, is that the music again? Yep, there's the panpipes again. The seal panpipes.
Now!
Good job using that phone while it's not plugged into anything.
Hello?
Suddenly, Richard's wounded wife remembers that she was, in fact, part of the Tiger Mafia. This is because Alex's brother noticed her tattoo, which has the initials of the Tiger Mafia.
TM. Tiger Mafia.
And she agrees to take him to the Tiger Mafia base, so Alex's brother can finally get revenge.
Kati gwe gendo otegezewa abana balumbe bulumbi musajja tujja muginya.
Yes, sir.
The commandos sit around and plan their attack. Now this is what the movie's been building to, baby. Be excited. Now sit back and witness probably one of the best shots in the whole movie. Okay, just one more time. Beautiful. The surprise attack is about to unleash, and the VJ prepares us for it.
Now it's time to see real action.
Unluckily for the commandos, Richard's informant from the police station has told him about the commandos' plans. So he tells one of his men to steal a helicopter and bomb the city.
Super biker dinosaurs.
Oh god, there it is again. Again! What is it with this bizarre use of this music? Like, it is funny as hell, but it's just that this is a sneaky action scene is all? Like, how did he even find this? How did he even think of this? Do they just love Seal over there or something? Like, it was really hard for me to even find the cover that he used. It's got like 3 plays on Amazon Music. Like, the use of this music is about as confusing as the way it was originally used in Batman Forever. God, the 90s were a fucking weird time, weren't they? What are you good at? Fighting? What's this? A trespasser. One by one, show me your skills.
Hello! Here for revenge!
Yes!
Super tough! Super deadly!
Super what? I know it looks like the helicopter is kind of hilariously squashing buildings or something, but what it's actually supposed to be is it's a certain type of helicopter that can only fire missiles like backwards behind it. This is because the director has actually witnessed them and literally been chased by them before. Him and his brother, when they were young, once had to outrun one of these things, and they had to make sure to stay in front of them because of the way they fire. That's some scary shit.
Me and my brother also were chased by a coach chopper, and we had to run. My brother, because he was very good at watching movies, he said, we have to run, we have to be behind the chopper. We might not be behind the chopper, always have to be before, in front of it. So run. It was a war. It was a war zone by that time.
Yeah, you grew up in the Civil War.
Yeah.
Super tough mafia.
I don't even know what the fuck is going on anymore, but I'm loving every second of it.
The military is here. Go again.
The last 15 odd minutes of the film is just kind of a giant action sequence with loads of guns, shooting, and people dying, and just sort of a lot of non-stop deadly actions.
Non-stop deadly actions!
Richard manages to take down a couple of choppers before being taken out himself, and then we see actual news footage of the chaos that was happening in Kampala at the time of filming the movie.
It's like that's a Kampala city, that building.
Yeah, that is Kampala city, and that is real. I tell you, that is Kampala during that saga of Kabaka Kayonga.
This is while you were shooting?
Yeah, I did it on my TV at home.
I hope you enjoy the Captain Alex, and be sure tell everyone.
So the film is dedicated to the director's grandmother, and he sings a song about how much he loves her, and it's actually very genuine and sweet. In fact, he named his film company after both of his grandmothers, Rachel and Monica, Rum and Film Productions. And finally, there's a little message from the director himself.
Hi, this is Isaac Nabwana Godfrey, director, producer at Ramon Film Productions. I think you have enjoyed the movie Who Killed Captain Alex. It is free all over the world. We wanted everyone to watch it. To see the creativity. It is art. Have seen that. If you have enjoyed it, please support. If you have missed the Kickstarter, please. You have a website. You can also keep on supporting the action studio, the first of its kind in Africa. I dedicate this move to you.
I adore Who Killed Captain Alex. This film has no motive other than to entertain. It's passionate and pure, and you can tell that everyone involved had such a wonderful time making it. And for a movie made for pennies, filmed while demonstrations and strikes were happening all over the country, with unreliable power that could turn on for days or even weeks at a time, made on a PC that the director built himself with cheap parts, and by a man that has never even been in a movie theater before.
Have you ever been to a movie theater?
Come on.
Have you ever been to a movie theater?
Me?
Yeah.
No.
I've got to say, the entire team at Wakaliwood sure knows how to make one kick-ass fucking movie. Look, I know it's easy to make fun of because it is silly, but the best part of all of this is that the movie knows it. The movie is relishing in its own ridiculousness and is laughing along with you. It's the purest art form you can possibly get. This was never intended to be seen by anyone outside of their village. They never thought it was possible. They usually sell their movies as door-to-door salesmen. They don't even use the internet. That's the level we're talking about here. I mean, for God's sake, some of these people literally feared for their life while filming because of what was going on in their country at the time. And yet, they still did it anyway, and they're still making movies to this day. In a landscape where the business side of movies is becoming more and more mechanical, cynical, predictable, and vapid, something like this is such a great reminder of why we love movies. Sometimes stripping the art form down into the most bare-bones basic essentials can really make you appreciate it in a whole new way. Sure, technically you could pick apart basically every aspect of the movie until the sun sets, but what's the point? This film succeeds in every way it intended, and I commend everyone involved for staying so true to their intent and passion. If you think that praising this movie is unfair when I've railed on things like The Amazing Bulk or Birdemic, or any number of these similarly Z-rated movies, then you kind of miss the point I've tried to get across over and over again in this video. The context and intent are what's important. The context of a film being made in the slums of Kampala is an impressive achievement in and of itself, and its intent of being a ridiculous action movie is achieved perfectly. Instead of this movie being great for all the wrong reasons, it's great for all the right reasons. And for that, Who Killed Captain Alex gets the top spot for the best movie I've seen in the series so far. It deserves it. And if you're someone who's been saying all their life, wow, I'd really love to make a movie, I mean, Who Killed Captain Alex really does highlight why you have absolutely no excuse not to just do it. If these people with no money, infrequent electricity, and barely any clean water can get a film made, then why can't you? Hey, make sure you visit the Wakaliwood website where you can watch Who Killed Captain Alex for free, by the way, if you don't want to pay anything. And why not consider picking up a t-shirt or a signed DVD copy? I think creativity like this should be supported as much as possible. I got myself one of the t-shirts, it's fucking great, and of course the signed DVD. Let's send them some actual proper support. We rag on so many truly terrible movies on the show. It might be nice for a change to send a little positivity someone's way. And up next in the search for the worst is... Left Behind. You've probably never heard of this, but I've seen this film before, and it is so wonderfully bad. This will be Nicolas Cage's first entry into the search for the worst. And I can't wait. I sounded sarcastic, but I really cannot wait.